Welcome back to New Dram Drink, and welcome back to another behind the camera video. We are joined by, I would say, a plethora of guests today, and I'm going to bring them in one at a time to introduce themselves, just tell them a little bit about what they do, where they're from, and how you can follow them and things like that, really. And then we'll get into the meat of the conversation. So we'll go around Jeremy, Rooney, or Roney.
Row-me. All right, just remember that ever it's row and me. I'm not a footballer, I'm not built for it.
Wish you'd had his money though. So mate,
there is that. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, mate.
Right, we myself and Oz met in a field, came out of the mosh pit, and we love whiskey. Last year we went from consumer to producer at a distillery. We were lucky enough to have our friend's distillery who makes award-winning gins, and when we proposed the idea to him that we would like to or contemplate make whiskey, he presented a barrel saying, "I've done a single malt." And I bought one of those, so that's in the mix. And then we spent probably the last that was a year and a month ago, so we have spent the last year learning to go from consumer to producer. So that journey has changed massively, but we brought the website up, merciawhisky.co. We have got Instagram at Mercia Whisky Facebook at Mercia Whisky Company, and then Instagram at Mercia Whisky Co. We have developed and released recently the bottles on the back there, the spirit. We've gone more of the toad. We love toad. We love all of them, actually. One of the things we've gathered from all this is you guys are all brilliant, and the English independent guys are all English whiskey guys are really good too. They've come up with some great ideas, so we've stolen some of them, of course, because that's what you should do. But we developed this on the grain. We were absolutely bowled over. It took us 4 months of sitting in front of boards to get that up. And so then what we've done recently is we've decided to go with a public venue, and this is Mercia Spirit Labs, which will continue and grow. But we've been in here for about 8 weeks, and we've Tam's over there just finishing painting. So that's kind of the journey so far in a very, very short period. Short terms.
We'll dig a bit more deeper into it.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you're up next, mate. You want to tell them a little bit about yourself? I'm sure they know you. I'm sure they do.
Well, I'm probably the less interesting. I just started drinking whiskey a long time back, and then I wanted to kind of get into the world more. So I started doing an Instagram page, and then that kind of did all right. So then I thought, I'll do a website, so it's another thing to try. I do that as my job. So I thought, it's good to learn the skills a bit more. And then I joined Certified Originals Club, which is a remarkably bad influence. And from there, that led to purchasing more whiskey than I ever had before, as well as starting a YouTube. So I'm part of that whiskey tube clan, tribe, cult, whatever it is. I'm at the lower end of the spectrum, so I'm still a newbie, but it's been good fun. People have enjoyed it. I've managed to connect with people through it, which has been amazing. And I started some things have caught on. So for some reason, people see me as a slapper now, as in I slap whiskey bottles, not as in my evening job. But so I'm just like an enthusiast who's kind of thrown himself in without knowing what he's doing.
Awesome, mate. And you've done brilliantly so far. I'm sure you're going to bigger and even better things. Hiya, Tony. We're just going around introducing ourselves before we start throwing questions at you left, right and centre.
So who did I miss?
You just missed Jeremy Rowney talking about what he does from Mercia and the Spirit Labs that he's just done. So it's you haven't missed too much. So you crack on and tell us a bit about what you're up to.
I imagine you might all know that I set a distillery up. Spent lockdown burying into all the paperwork and everything like that. really wanting something something good and exciting to come out of a global tragedy. So whiskey's been something I've been interested in for 25 years, really. I've been drinking it for a lot longer than I've been making it. And really the first seeds of a distillery were started to germinate about 9 years ago for me. About the same, just after I'd set up a street food business. Really, my first personal, the first time I went into business myself. After that, it was kind of gave me a bit of confidence to do anything I wanted, and then my fascination with whiskey started to grow. It grew because of grew through friendship and swapping whiskies with some great people, and then yeah, I suppose lockdown gave us the push to actually follow a dream and get it done. We began distilling. Well, we got our final approvals through in April and started distilling in May. There was a bit of R&D to do before we got some proper product off, but we've got 2 barrels full now, so happy days.
Going from strength to strength, aren't you, mate? You got some vodka as well now, haven't you?
Yeah, so we're obviously whiskey takes a while to be marketable as such. So regardless of how good the liquid is to begin with, we need to get some cash flow in to keep paying for barrels, essentially. And I've produced a strong dark beer and a vodka for intermediary sales, and then I suppose 3.5, 4 years time, it'll be whiskey.
The dream. Loads of whiskey down the end of the garden. Okay, Tom, tell us a little about what you're doing, mate.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, first of all, good to be in such esteemed company, to be honest, as a whiskey fanboy. You know, seeing people setting up their own distilleries, getting the chance to talk to people at that stage of their journey, I think is just incredible, having that sort of access. So, you know, hats off to those guys in here who've really made a success of things. I mean, I guess where I come in, I'm a whiskey fan. I guess my main thing is visiting distilleries and being part of the community. So I tend to be in a number of clubs, including my favourite, the Certified Originals. I go to lots of whiskey festivals. You know, in the summer we toured 50 distilleries essentially around the UK. So really am into that side of things and finding out more. And as part of that, I started making some videos on YouTube. So you can find me at Whiskey Shorts and also on Twitter as Whiskey Shorts. And yeah, basically what I try and do is videos under 5 minutes that tell you about things like cask maturation and different parts of the hobby outside of drinking whiskey that I enjoy. So yeah, thanks for having me on, Ant. And yeah, looking forward to getting into this chat.
You're always welcome, mate. And then the man himself, Mac. Oh, thank you for joining us, buddy. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing as well, if we don't already know?
I suspect many people don't know. So where to begin? My name's Mac and I'm originally from Exeter in Devon. I'm just mentioning that really for Jeff's benefit because I know how excited that will make him. And I've been living in Tokyo in Japan for 15 years. In February 2021, for a number of different reasons, which we can get into a bit later on, I decided to start a YouTube channel called Kanpai Planet, which focuses on the world of Japan's drinks, not just Japanese whiskey, which has been the main focus of the content so far, but also sake, and hopefully coming up some videos about shochu, craft beer, and all sorts of interesting things as well. So that's me, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. It's I think just because there's a few of us now that in here that have done YouTube channels, so we all know the kind of ins and outs of what it takes to create videos now, don't we? I think we've all come across the pitfalls, and the guys who are doing the distilleries they've had their own version of pitfalls, and I would make highs and lows as the things gone by. And I suppose it all starts really with branding in a way. I suppose you think of doing a YouTube channel, you got to think of like what it's going to be about, and then how do you brand the thing that you want to do. So Jeff, I mean, where did, obviously yours is relatively easy because it's your name, and Jeff Whisky is quite simple, but did it take a lot of time to actually just settle on that, or did you go through a lot of permeations of what the channel was going to look like, be like, the fun element of it and things like
that? I think I should start by like pulling back the curtain. So my name's not Jeff. To shock to lots of people, and whenever people have my address, they always shocked. I always say P. Jeffrey. So my surname's Jeffrey, but my first name's Pete. But you can't. It's a struggle to be in the whiskey world with a name called Pete, because that could get very confusing very quickly.
I always just thought it was a big secret, so I just never let it out.
I'm still going to call you Jeff.
It's so confusing as well, because if people talk to me like that, they say Jeff, and I respond to that. So that was a nickname briefly in school. So I've always had kind of Jeff as something to respond to. But in the whiskey world, if someone says Pete, I'm like, it's straight over my head. I don't know who that is. So that's where it came from, really. It was just a way to do. And I didn't want to start with a W. Right. Because I know there's a lot more competition with the word whiskey at the start. So I thought if I could try going for a J, and then hopefully when people search, I might have a chance, but that's not happened. But but the whole like branding side, I've never settled on that. While I like the name Jeff Whisky, I've only recently redrawn my logo for the third time. Probably shouldn't, because it's all about creating an identity, and it's like when distilleries have big rebranding. So Ben Romack changed, everyone hates it. So I don't want to go down that path and think I'm making it better for me, but then everyone's like, why are you changing it? But lucky for me, I don't need to worry about the crowds.
But I suppose eventually you have to start thinking like that, because if you've got coins with your logo on, t-shirts that people have got with you, and you do, if people do keep changing logos and things, everything that your people are buying that has got your logo on it really kind of becomes old, doesn't it? And it's not, current. So I suppose in one way it might make them buy more, but if you do it too often, it comes a little bit of an issue, doesn't it? So I imagine you got to settle on a certain logo at some point and just go and run with that for a while. Yeah.
So my plan is each brand is going to make everything vintage. So you can go back and click the vintage one, which then increases the price. That's the goal.
Right, it's far cleverer than me.
No one's I've done coins and they all gone, so I think I'm ending on that high. I've made t-shirts for myself because I enjoy doing it, but yeah, no one wants to walk around with a t-shirt that says Slapper along the front.
Right, I would. I'm not speaking for Nikki though. Jez, what about you? Was Mercia Whisky always the name, or was there other? Did you think?
Well, we thought long and hard. We did this kind of like thing, sitting looking at each other, going, about this name, about that name, about this name. But me and Oz are really born of the wrong era. We should have two axes in each hand, and well, that's kind of like we like the Anglo-Saxon, the Celtic, all those kind of pre-Wessex days, and we've always talked about it. And Mercia is the Kingdom of Mercia. There was there's great marketing talk about it. I'm sure Tony, you'll get this if you ever spoke to marketing people and they sit there and say, yeah, the Kingdom of Mercia gives you the scope and the breadth to take your grain from terroir and all these words. And we went, yeah, that's why we chose that. That's Mercia Whisky. That's what we did. So that's exactly why we did that. And that's the first admission of that. So yeah, thanks. But we did. No, we like everything. Plus Tamworth is probably just down the road. So everything about the Mercians, everything about Oz really is into that history of Birmingham, history of the areas, the local tribes before, and how we all developed from those local tribes to be, the people we are today. And so it stuck. Saying that, a year down the line now, we've changed. The company name was Mercia Whisky Company Limited, and we're doing mead. We started doing gin today. We started doing quite a lot of stuff because, as Tony says, you've got to make money while you're making whiskey. So that's what we've gone down the line. So we'll be called the the branding then changes to Mercia Gin, Mercia. We can't call it Mercia Mead. There's always one out there. Mercia Whisky, and then the White Dog Spirit Project. And those three brands have been developed under the Mercia, now the Mercia Drinks Company Limited. But we never will ever. It's a trading. It's a limited company name, and I don't think I'll ever go out there as like the website or anything else. It'll always be Mercia Whisky. On our social media, we've decided to keep it absolutely centralized, and what we've built already will just be included in all of that, unless one of them goes completely sky high, but we don't know, so we'll work with it. But the torque symbol for us, though, the torque on the bottom, the torque symbol, don't you? So have you seen the torque?
Yeah, show your bottle off. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, so the torque symbol we came up with. This symbol is, and also the snakes in the middle. There's two males, me and Oz sitting in the middle of that lot. And the torque, of course, is the wyvern of Mercia. And when that was presented to us, we had a lot of them. We had a lot of talks, a lot of symbols, but that was kind of like the inclusive nature that we have at parties and out on the town or whatever we do. We're inclusive with a lot of people, so we thought that was brilliant. We also thought it'd make a great tattoo, but neither of us has quite fessed up to having one yet. But that's the brand. And then the White Dog came out of the White Dog, and then the Mercia Talk then, and the centerpiece that we can put the writing around it, so it's very flexible for us. So yeah, we will stick for that forever. We'll do it all bronze, copper in here, so it'll just be changed in color. That's all for each product. Awesome. But yeah, it was a big thing. It was a big branding is a big thing for us.
Yeah, perfect for a coin as well, mate. That round logo.
Yeah. We still haven't ordered any. No, we still haven't ordered. I still want some. I still go sit there saying, right, they had to get this. Because you'll send me the link again, because I would have lost it in my 3,000 emails. Sure, so yeah, absolutely.
I expect a message off you any day now. Then.
Yeah, exactly. I've just sent it to you. Oh, can you send me that link?
You're typing with your toes while you're on there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's do
it. Mac, there's one thing with your channel. Are there any competitors? I wouldn't say competitors, because obviously over here we're doing our review channels, and there's a multitude of channels that you could kind of go to that would do the same thing as us, really, in their own ways. Is there anyone doing the same as what you do with the drink selections that you cover that you would almost class as in your same category? Or
not really. So I guess the category would be foreign language channels or non-Japanese language channels focused on Japan and the drinks culture. And to my knowledge, nobody who's doing it independently. So for example, the Japan Sake and Shochu Makers Association have an official channel. And there's a few of these official outlets. And then there are a few people who are focused on sake specifically who are doing it. But, Japanese whiskey, I don't think there is. And certainly somebody who's focused on all drinks, I don't think there is. So
you're the Japanese Ralphie then?
I'm speechless because I was immediately trying to think of a tagline, like some kind of monk, Kanpai Comrades. There you go. Nailed it. All right. I'm gonna register that URL and all of the
Mac's leaving now because he's got stuff to do.
Yeah, sorry, busy now. You guys entertain yourselves.
Tom, how about you, mate?
Well, originally I'd set out to be Whiskey and Warhammer because that was kind of my hobby, and I was originally sort of having a dram whilst I painted, but immediately thought of the pitfalls around copyright. And Games Workshop are well known for going after people for using their names, understandably. And anyway, I was kind of moving away from that a little bit, and as I say, get involved in more of the community. So I wanted to make videos. And so one of the reasons I started doing videos was I couldn't find any videos telling me about things like casks that were short enough for me as a dad of a young child and a full-time worker to sort of consume. So, you know, the whole idea of my channel is to try and get all my videos under 5 minutes, which is why I went for the Whiskey Shorts branding. And want to give a bit of a shout out to Johnny Whisky, who helped design my logo, and to yourself, Ant, for helping me do some of my intros. You know, I'm not afraid to say that I've used the community and been helped by the community to try and get some of the stuff that, you know, I'm not very good at animating. I'm not very good at making intros or fancy things on my videos. But what you would get with me was a short video that delivers some whiskey knowledge, and that for myself is something that I can watch back and remind myself on. So Whiskey Shorts seem to sort of fit that bill. And again, like others have said, it was quite lucky I was able to claim that as my handle on various platforms, which is always good. And it's funny you talking about when things aren't as you'd expect them in terms of a handle. The amount of times I've tried to find like specific distilleries' Twitter handles to sort of tag them in a post, and it's something just absolutely obscure. You know, I think if you can have that direct connection between what people hear and what they find on socials, like for instance, you know, Jez and Tony, your Twitter handles are exactly what they say on the tin. And if I'm tagging you in one of my posts, it's so easy to do. And I think that helps with, you know, like almost that cross-pollination of promotion that goes on in the community. So, yeah, absolutely. I think it's, for me, it's just really important to have something individual, but that sort of says about what you're doing and why you're doing it. So.
And while you're bringing up intros, mate, you still owe me the $5 for the one I did for you, all right, mate? Anytime you want.
We're paying for those. We're not paying for those, are we?
Not at all, mate. From friend to friend. Tony, how about you, mate?
So what's the question?
It's been a while since I asked it, hasn't it? Did you change branding? Has it always been Spirit of Birmingham? Did you look at other, you know, avenues to go down, or was it fairly straightforward?
It was kind of lengthy, but we kind of spent a few weeks writing names down. I'll say a few weeks, it might have been a few months, but it's all a bit of a blur. Where we just list them, and then there's myself, my wife Santhi, and my sister Joan involved in it. So that list of names gets added to by each of us, and then we kind of got to a point where we'd exhausted our creativity when it came to naming, and then we started to just break it down a bit, just cut the fat, as it were. So we'd have a look at what names just aren't available because somebody else has got them within the drinks industry, or and then just like pick like our top 10 or our top 5 or whatever. And then where we overlapped as 3 individuals, you know, we then had a short list essentially, and we decided on Spirit of Birmingham. Tom mentioned doing things that it says on the tin. That's kind of important for us from our perspective on branding, whether it's right or wrong. I've always liked any business name, any product name that does just that. It's easily identifiable what it is, who it is, and what it does. So for us, Spirit of Birmingham, in its simplicity, kind of made a bit of sense. But there was a lot of different options. We had 50 or 60 different ideas, and they were all, you know, I won't say they were all viable, but you know, a lot of them were. I don't know what it was specifically that landed us upon Spirit of Birmingham, but it made the shortlist, and it made more sense to us from a doing what it says on the tin point of view.
Yeah, cool, mate. Just going back to like what we were talking about with social media wise, with handles and stuff like that, is as YouTube channels, do you use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok as advertising tools for your channel, or do you see them all as viable entities in their own right? So I'll come to Mac first with that one.
Sure. Right now, for me, my biggest goal is to build up subscribership and viewership to the YouTube channel. So I see the other platforms as kind of more subservient to that. But that has to change over time, right? Because as anybody who's ever attempted to use Premiere Pro will know, it takes quite some time to edit a video, right? So you have a maximum output. For me, that seems to be roughly every 10 days at the moment. And so what do you do in between that? Well, if people are following you, then you want to, in my case, keep them informed about interesting things in the world of Japan's drinks. So over time, I'm investing more in kind of keeping those separate platforms up to date.
Cool. Anyone else? Jeff, what's your opinion on it?
Well, I've just looked because I just realized every social media handle is different on mine. We're here to talk about it.
It's one of them. It's one of them. Pete Whiskey.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one. That one never worked. No one wants Pete. They only want Jeff. Because I started with Instagram, and that I had no intentions of doing YouTube. Instagram's still my main social media, and for some reason I spend ridiculously long editing videos. So I'm maybe one's coming out a month, and I've just had my first child, so obviously video editing then falls even further down the list. So for me, Twitter, I'm only really getting into Twitter now because the whiskey world on Twitter is a lot larger than I thought it was. But yeah, it's like Facebook is just advertisement and it's just link building. So no one I know who I'm like personally friends with in the real world outside of whiskey cares about whiskey. So like none of them are interested in following me on Facebook for seeing whiskey updates because it's just me on my own, my little bubble. And then I joined the whiskey world where there's people I interact with. So that's Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, it's I think YouTube's more, you get a lot more engagement, not necessarily directly on YouTube, but it feels like you can have more of more of an impact in the whiskey world via YouTube than you can just like Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, a mixture in short.
It's a dark art. I'm just going to tell you, it's a dark art. I felt like my granddad when Sophie, who's Ozzy's daughter, started putting this all together for us, going, what are you doing? Stop it. let me press the buttons. And I thought I was technical coming from a technical background, and no, I don't know. I just still don't get it. I still don't get it. So we've gone from YouTube to Instagram to Facebook, and I've lost my fear of it really, because I think I was frightened of what you post, what you start to show the world, and then I thought, we'll just put little videos up and editing. What's editing apart from on your Samsung going, sorry, there are other phones available. But your Samsungs, you just go like this, going, clip, that's a really good clip. I'll put some music behind it, making a sound like, well, yeah, that's it, that goes. And once I've relaxed into that, then the posts are better. I do let's go back to business mind. We've employed Julia, and she is going to be doing all of that for us, making sure that we can keep all the brands together and the corporate, the business side together and on focus for what we want to do in the future. So that's the important bit for me. The followers and things like that. I know it's important. I know it's there, isn't it? But it's more getting the message out in the correct manner about the three brands. I think that's where I feel about it.
And I think it's worldwide, isn't it, when you're doing it on social media? So it's not even like you might have a handful of people who are close to where you live who are following you, but most of the time they're going to be worldwide, aren't they? So it's not even like, it's harder to build a close community. So if you're going to do a Mercia Whisky festival, for instance, most of your Instagram followers probably couldn't even make it to because they're abroad and things like that. So it's like there's building that community, but it's so vast, isn't it? That's to us, it's more advertisement, and then the Discord for us is it's more of the family then. I think the Discord, the people who come from the social medias into our Discord chat.
Oh, I've thoroughly enjoyed the codes. I'm a gamer at heart, all my years of gaming. I didn't know the Discord that was used for business or friend, do you know what I mean, these kind of groups. So when I came into it, I just went, oh, this is awesome. And you learn a lot, and yeah, you do learn a lot from the co's, and mainly because I mean, yeah, Tom's a convert on whiskey. Oh, she blames Nikki for that. She doesn't blame Nikki. She thanks Nikki for it. And I sit there going, well, there you go. And yeah, because she did change it from the I won't mention the names of whiskies. You know what our granddads used to drink, knock it down the necks, and you used to do it at school and go, no. To really be in a concert. So no, the co's are important for personally. I think for us, each of us, well, definitely me, for just for bouncing ideas off, going, look, this is what we're doing, getting some good positive feedback or no feedback. I mean, yeah, Tony and I had a conversation about casks the other day, mate, and that was just brilliant. So that's that. We wouldn't have got that without the co's, and it is good. It's a very, very, very good group. But that's different to the social media and the outside world, isn't it? That's a massively different thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's like I say, it's as close to a whiskey community / family there, because everyone knows each other now. It's like, they're all welcoming when new people come in, because you're relatively new to it, aren't you? The COs in a way. So I'm sure you've experienced the welcoming that they gave you when you join. It's just that kind of place, isn't it? You don't feel out of place at all, no matter what level you are on your whiskey journey.
No, not at all. No, I think when I brought the R&Ds in the other day, I sat there going, "Oh, I've got rid of them at last." Everyone went swooped in and went, "I want to try that one." But you sit there going, like, all the R&D stuff went. We were all quite pleased. Well, Tom was pleased it's off the shelf. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But no, that's the co's are really good.
Yeah. How about going beyond social media for advertising? Obviously, as a business, you would be looking at doing that. But what about YouTubers? Is there any other avenues other than just social media that you would look at to advertise your channels? Because it's not, I've thought about how you could do it or where you could go to do it, but no one seems to. So Mac, I mean, have you ever gone beyond just social media to advertise your channel?
No, I haven't actually. Next question.
Do you think
I mean, well, I mean, what would they be? Well, what are we trying to? We're trying to put an ad in a newspaper, or
that's a radio kind of, maybe a radio advert, or because it's all available to you if you've got the money to do it. That TV adverts, if you could do such a thing, like newspaper articles, radio stations. There's a multitude.
I thought it was good, Anthony, when when we did the Bimber tour, you walked down Oxford Street wearing that sandwich board with the New Dram drinker logo on. I thought that worked quite well for engagement.
It did. Yes, no, I should have just wore some clothes under it.
Did you find genuine question? Did you find subscribership increased or dramatically decreased after this?
We lost and had to rebrand.
Yeah, the police are now following him.
What about you, Tony? Is advertising, I would imagine at some point, has got to become more than just social media posts? I would think
it's an area that is kind of complicated. That we've had, with my wife and my sister have got a bridal business as well, bridal wholesale and retail, and your traditional avenues for advertising tends to be really hit and miss, and you can spend an awful lot of money on your traditional advertising and get absolutely no return from it whatsoever. And what they found over the years worked best is getting face to face with people in shopping centres. So we go to Touchwood in Solihull. They'd have a stand there and just advertise themselves at good, specific times of the year, when it comes to prom season or January sales, that sort of thing. Rather than actually having a January sale, hit the sales in the shopping mall and have a stand advertising themselves, and they found those quite useful. So then, with our other business, we kind of we've got to try and figure out what the best avenue for us advertising is. It's still early days for us with Spirit of Brum, so we're those traditional methods, again, I don't think are the way forward for us. So we're going to look more and more to social media. But then you know, it's a flooded marketplace, and it's like it's difficult to see how you can and how you do stand out then from a social media point of view. So when you haven't got, if you haven't got a retail outlet for your brand that people are passing every day, if you haven't got a YouTube channel, for instance, if you haven't got then the money to spend on traditional methods of advertising, what do you do? What are the options that are left for you as a small business? I actually don't know. But there's not a lot we can do as I see it than just try and expand our exposure on social media as we're trying to do.
Because I suppose word of mouth, positive word of mouth, is probably the best advertisement anyway, isn't it? Because it's actually people who are enjoying what you're doing, sharing it with other people, and I suppose you've just got to get it out into as many shops as you can for that to start happening, haven't you? And generating its own kind of
well, yeah, that side of things for us, because we're the scale that we are, it's kind of, you know, it's pointless us advertising nationally and you know, getting adverts in newspapers and things like that. But I think our major avenue is going to be going to visit independent retailers and just getting ourselves in as many independents as possible, and then and just grow from there. It's going to be slow and organic growth, but I think at the end of it, it will be solid. You know, it's not going to be a fly by the night kind of purchase for people. It's something they'll get actually invested in locally and purchase time and time again. Fingers crossed.
I'm sure from what we've seen so far, mate, you're going to do great. Jez, I mean, how valuable, and I don't blow smoke because you've got like a few YouTubers in this chat with you, but how valuable do you see whiskey reviewers on YouTube to a brand like yours? You know, is it something that you think could help it or hinder it in, or, you know, where do you kind of sit kind of on that?
How you mean how we can best use you guys, YouTubers, influencers and everything else for the sales, or to start off with, and with Tony, there's not going to be any sales. We've done this as a kind of a stopgap. We took the view that we would meet, I think Otis Dealey knew Ant, which was his cousin from a strong man. Oz thought we had a brainstorming of who we could go to and things like that. The connection was made, and we were on with those guys, and we had a really good time, a really, really good time with them for probably about an hour and 20 minutes. And we came away from that with such a positive feeling that we were on the right track with, you know, with some of the ryes we were doing. Although it was pot stilled, so it had a bit of funk to it, was the word. Yeah, so it's with a bit of funk to it. It was a great word, but we all agreed, you know, that was one of our first brews, that was one of our first distillates, and so we were just brave with it. We just went, look, try this, because it's what the people want to taste, and that's, you guys have taught me that bit. So it's what you want. It's the journey we've taken. It's not the 4 months developing this recipe through the ice still, which, you know, Tony will know is it's a complex bit of kit, but when you want to do it properly, and you want to create your own recipe, and you haven't had the training, which I would love to actually. You need to go to them and have the training on it. But it's so yeah, we will use it to go to market. We will use it on the YouTube channel. We have I've come up with a couple of streams to go down. The Tribe is one. I'm not going to give it an official name, the Whiskey and Hogs or whatever it was. You know about that one. Me and I was on our big bikes going off, you know, a bit like that, but like not the hairy bikers, but a bit like the hairy bikers, because I idolize those two. I think they're brilliant in cooking. But a bit like that, going off and finding different spirits and different things, just the pulling. So different pulling, and you can take this from whatever, but different pulling from different areas into Mercia Whisky while we build that you know, the aging stock, and the volumes of that aging stock, that people know who you are by the time you're putting it on the shelf. And that's kind of where we've gone. That's kind of what we're doing. This came up, you know, the Spirit Lab came up, and it was like, oh, yeah, we walked in and said yes, old school laboratory. We said yes before we even thought about it. And we started going, what are we going to do with it? Because it's just one of those things that has footfall. It fits into the social side of the marketing we do. So, and on the back end of that, what I wanted to do is build then the PR, because then you get the PR side working for you. So not so much the paid adverts or the things like that. It's really then growing. People grow with you, don't they, through the excitement of the brand. They get the ideas. We've got a couple more ideas coming through, which will grow the brand some more through the getting people excited about a release. So we'll launch that. That's another thing we're going to launch, and because it's 2024 before, I think 2024, yeah, before our whiskey's first launch. So before we from bottle. So yeah, we have to do, as Tony knows, and most distillers knows when they first started, you've got to do something in the meantime to do it. So yes, we will use all of you guys and abuse you all, because no, we'll be on. We have a great time of it, and we do like being. Well, I like being online. Oz I don't think he does so much, but I like being online because I'm a chatterbox. It's just people. So that's it. Yeah. So we will use it. Yeah, to go forward. But that's what we're doing in marketing is taking that different approach, trying to use that and coming up with some original ideas for. Coming up with some original ideas going forward for the social media and then the social scene of us and what we do.
I still think there's a lot of distilleries out there who don't really see it as a viable kind of form of advertising or kind of getting the word out. They're not interested in the slightest. Tony, where do you sit on it? Because obviously Jersey's very pro. And obviously, we've had dealings with other places that have been relatively kind of, just no. So, like, are you either one end of the spectrum or you're firmly in the middle? Where do you kind of fit into it?
When it comes to YouTube, I think, like, if I think about try and put myself as a customer in most things I'm doing, and if I put myself as a YouTube viewer and actually assess my viewing habits. I'm probably watching as much YouTube material as I am Netflix. It's become a huge part of my viewing experience over the last few years, and I haven't had a YouTube channel for any of our social media side of things. Obviously, Jez, you're saying that you started with YouTube first and then.
No, we start with Facebook and Instagram. Okay. The YouTube channel hasn't been put up yet, Tony. So we're still. Well, I don't know how to put it up.
Yeah. So well, this is kind of where I'd see it. I'd be happy I'd be happy doing a video and things like that. I could, but it's knowing like the editing side of things and knowing that this actually getting the stuff done. Time is probably the most precious thing for me at the minute. I'm in the distillery 6 days a week. I've got 2 small boys. We've got a lot of things going on that I'm not going to. If something's important, you can find a time for it. But it's when everything's important. It's like you then have to decide what's more important than the next thing. And sitting at a computer editing videos, I just have not got time for it. So setting up a YouTube channel for us is kind of not an option because I can't afford somebody to do it for me, and I can't afford the time away from my boys. They think whiskey's took their dad away already. It's bad enough because they had me solidly through lockdown while I was doing nothing but paperwork. Now I'm actually buried in my shed for 6 days a week. It's difficult finding that balance at the moment, and just editing time and things like that. I just don't think it's something that I'd love to do, but it's something that I just there's restrictions.
I'm with you. I don't know. So we've been in here like 14 hours a day, generally, because there's no one else to do this. So while we're doing that, we've our stills are running. I'm now doing the paperwork for this that you did in lockdown, and it's taking it's 2:00 in the morning, you finish, and then you get up at 7 and you sit there going, so I haven't got time either. There's got to be a point, but we've got a plethora of friends. One thing I like is we've got really good friends that can do some of this for us if we can do the videos and everything else. And if we can put the videos down, I've got a friend who's Blaine, and they do the videos for us. So they'll come down and do some videos. None of those have been launched yet. Those have just been done and sitting there waiting for our YouTube channel to begin. And then the different things to use them in and things like that. But even, I don't have time. I wouldn't even know. When it was a dark art, when Ant did our intro on one of the adverts for the White Dog experience, and sat there going, that's amazing. That's just like, how did you do that? And he went, oh, it's easy. Yeah, all right. So with you, Tony, I don't think we have the time. I think we've got to find stuff. Yeah,
it is easy for. I think anything can be easy if you've got the experience, the tools, and the know-how. But when it comes to YouTube, I haven't got the tools to edit this. And that whole 3 months it takes to learn how to use a piece of software properly. And by the time you've figured it all out, your computer's obsolete and you've got to buy another one, and the program's updated, and all these things that really annoy me. If I can bear that 3 months of learning to edit to the point where Ant is at, if I can, if I want to buy the specific software, but then you've got proper lighting and proper cameras and proper microphones and everything else, and it's just it's a rabbit hole that I can't afford to go down monetarily or time wise. So it's I think if we're going to get if we Spirit of Birmingham are going to get anything out of social media in terms of YouTube especially, I think video is the future. I think YouTube is the future of social media, and isn't used as a marketing platform at all, really, for businesses. I think there's a huge opportunity there, but it's being able to invest in that opportunity is really difficult, finding that balance.
Because Mac, you heavily edit in your videos as well, don't you? You have a lot going on. Excuse me. What software do you use? What's your kind of routine of editing a video?
Been away from the UK for 15 years, so I think there's a lot going on. Is a compliment. I'm just going to run with it.
Yeah, it is. That's a compliment. Trust me.
I use Premiere Pro, and as Tony said, it's an incredible piece of software that you can do. I mean, they make movies on the thing, but what I found has been quite interesting is I always use the analogy of Microsoft PowerPoint. Remember when you first started using PowerPoint and you're like, look, I've got these 3 bullet points. And instead of just bringing them in one by one, all of those letters can come down like this.
Yeah.
And then you use it once, because you're like, oh my God, I've used it. And then you realize that it makes you look like a total twat. So, and it detracts from your message. What I've found in my editing journey is you kind of learn all of this stuff and then you unlearn it. I mean, just watch, Billions, one of my favorite shows, right? They don't use warp transitions. They use cutting, right? Basically 99% of all their transitions are cuts, maybe the odd cross dissolve, and they're letting the action and the words and the message do the talking. So, a lot of people really panic about editing. I think if you've actually got a well-concepted video, then you can get away with, it's not so much the tools that you're using, it's understanding, the say, for example, the length of time to leave from one clip to the other, to that breathing space, is it 2 frames, is it 10 frames? I think that's what comes with experience, not so much you know, but then every so often you decide that you want the intro to a video about Japan's new whiskey standards to have Yoda levitating a bottle of Hibiki 30, and I want a green border around it. And yes, that's 2 hours of tutorials to try to figure out exactly how to do that. So, you know.
The worst one I ever did was I came up with the bright idea of having 2 of me in the same video. So it was like, you don't ever really think then that you've got to like record the whole video twice. Then you got to like green screen everything around you and cut yourself out. And it was just a nightmare. So it was like, why do I have these ideas? As great as it looked in the end, I think it was one of them about halfway in. I'm like, why didn't you just sit in front of the camera and review a whiskey? It's just easy.
I think though, when I started thinking about what could differentiate Kanpai Planet from other channels, I did think about editing. I've heard Pete Whiskey here talk about that in the past as well, about how he, you know, he's grown up with some of these more viral style, you know, younger people oriented channels of just stuff coming in. They call it pattern interrupts, right? You know, you don't want to have the same angle on, you don't want to have the same thing on for more than about 6 to 8 seconds. And so that was actually one of my original visions when I started Kanpai Planet. But then it just depends what you're looking for, right? I mean, I also want there to be a lot of credibility in the information I'm delivering. And so for me, you know, having, I don't know, the latest like meme of the week or something pop up, if you use it well, it can be very funny and it can provide that pattern interrupt. But you know, it can also detract from your message if you want authority and credibility. So all of these things are constantly playing in my mind when I think about, you know, the narrative in any particular video that I'm making.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more that goes into the videos than people think as well, isn't there? I think with that kind of use to YouTube being of such a high quality now, that I think it's almost expected that there's going to be a certain level of kind of editing and quality and graphics, and you're going to be polished with how you present. And I think that was one of the biggest hurdles for us, I would say, was just accepting that we're not paid professional presenters. You know what I mean? We're just Anthony and Nikki, and you're Pete, and that's Tom. And
I think it does. I think from a viewer of your channels and a viewer of it does make a difference if you can. I would class it as simplicity with, do you know what I mean, with some real clear shots for just some really lovely bit of video. I like the 5-minute videos. I like the idea of, you know, my attention is because I'll sit there and watch something that size. I know some I've watched nearly an hour long. I like Still It. Is it Still It? Yeah, it is Still It. The New Zealand guy. I watched that quite a lot. But I watched that sitting down comfy, you know, while Tom's watching something else because he's really good. I mean, he engages you, doesn't he? But he engages with some good stuff. He's not. I don't think it's clever. I'm not just going to say cleverly because he is quite good at it. But so your videos are really good, and the way they're put together. Jeff, yours are. So I've watched some of them and thought to myself, it's all about it's not clever. If you're doing flashing images and fade and things like that, I'd lose interest very quickly because it's not what I want to watch. Do you know what I mean? That's just me, and I think I'm not alone. So no, I think if you can do it crisp, clean, and done, I'd much prefer, from a viewer's point of view, I'll give you that. I'd much prefer to watch that content, and just be, you know, I like that. What I call the hand movements and bring it in and make it bigger and all those kind of things.
We love our hand movements. Nick's all or doing this or something. Or there's a lot of hand movements going on.
The grains just fell about the place. Yeah, just make it animated.
Oh my God.
We need animation. That's what I'm saying. We need animated people. We can't just sit there for the camera going, this is a whiskey that is really nice. And if you're doing that on a flow, you know, and you make some mistakes, then again, it's cutting, isn't it? I'm very limited on my knowledge, but cut. But
we learned very quickly on how to use cuts and pictures and graphics to hide when we were like Nick's turning me to go, what were you saying? That's completely wrong. Put something over the top of that. We'll take the sound out of that.
Don't drunken Instagram is the one I first learned. Don't drunken it, because you can't cut that. It's live. Oops.
I still fancied doing a drunken review. like
I think that would be
hammered
brilliant. Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
review like a whiskey like completely out of your head. But we haven't quite got around to it yet.
Just four or five whiskeys in you. That's all you need for that one. You don't need to get smashed, because that's when the
Tom, how have you found? Because obviously you're probably the newest out of us all there to YouTube. So has it been a different journey than you thought doing it? Obviously you're saying now you got a child, you know, another one on the way, and like lockdowns ended, and has it had an impact to all this, as you know, to your channel?
Well, I think the biggest impact was probably going away for 2 months in my whiskey wagon, traveling the country.
That's gathering, you know, stuff though, in it, gathering content.
Vital research.
Well, it is interesting. So I did use that time to start building up a free library of resources for content creators to use, because one of the hardest things I found is finding the images to go along with my videos, and they're all copyright. And actually, we've got such a good community of people going and visiting distilleries and things. We can gather that stuff ourselves. So that's one thing I found was limiting, was the amount of images that I wanted to go into my YouTube videos. And hopefully I've started doing some more uploading, but by the end of next couple of weeks there'll be something like 70 distilleries on the drive that I've got, and we've got more to go on that. So I think that was the first thing. For me, I'm not like the rest of the guys. I mean, I really appreciate a good edited video, but for me, if I can go in, edit a video in about 15 minutes, it looks good enough for me, and get it out there. So the things that I think are important is the sound. So having a microphone really made a massive difference to the quality of my videos. And I'm currently filming a series on the 101 whiskies to try before you die. And some of those I've recorded on the road with no microphone, and they're going to look pretty shoddy. They're in cheap hotel rooms or in the back of a van. And then some of them will be with my light and my camera that I've got in the shed. But thinking back to Tony's comments, my setup is my work iPhone, a £10 microphone, and a £20 light. And if you can notice the difference in the light, my light ran out while Tony was talking about the importance of lighting. So that's a nice bit of irony for you there. But from my perspective, yeah, it's about I just think it's editing things to the standard you want them. So if you want something really highly edited with lots of graphics, smooth transitions, I think that's brilliant, and it really does show. But for my videos, I'm trying to do something that's 5 minutes, it's digestible to people who don't have a lot of time. And really, are you worried to the same extent about the amount of transitions? So I try and film things either in one or with the minimum amount of transitions, because again, I don't have that editing skill. Although if you do learn editing, there's lots of rewards to be made. So I've got a friend who's currently making lots of money off NFTs and animating videos and all of this sort of stuff. But, you know, for me, that's not, you know, my time's invested in enjoying whiskey. And the reason I make videos is just to learn more and to share that knowledge. So, but yeah, I think there's lots of stuff to be found from when you start the journey and you have this conception, I'll just make lots of videos and I'll do a video once a week and I'll get that content out there, and in 6 months' time I'll have 1,000 subscribers. It isn't the reality of it, and it is a bit of a grind. You know, I mainly use Twitter. It always amazes me, Instagram, that like you log on after 4 months and loads of people have followed you, even though you haven't actually put any content on there. So I think if you can learn how to use those to funnel through to your YouTube channel, that's the best way. Because I don't know, for me, maybe it's some old school, but I just feel there's like a permanence to YouTube that maybe there isn't. When I look at Instagram or Twitter, it seems to be more sort of things come and then they're gone. But yeah, for me, I think it's the minimal amount of editing. I do use Premiere Pro. So I try and dabble with that. There's always something to learn, a new technique. And I would say, you know, with your videos and with Jeff's videos and Mac's videos, there is such a high level of quality. You can definitely tell the time that's gone into those. But I guess the question is, you know, it's the time versus what you get back from it ratio is, you know, that's where you kind of put your marker. So for me, I'm not looking to get loads of followers. I'm looking to just create videos that I enjoy and that I hopefully will learn something from. So again, with this 101 series, what I'm trying to do is expand my notes and learn how to give better whiskey notes. If someone else enjoys that, and you know, certain whiskies within there, such as the Chivas Regal 25, I bought that without being able to watch any YouTube videos about what that whiskey's like. So hopefully that will create some content that someone might want to see. But you know, if no one else watches it, I'm not going to be too sad, because you know, it is a part-time thing for me. And you know, hopefully if one person enjoys it, then that's enough for me, I think. You know, and I think if you go in with that attitude when you make videos, you won't be disappointed. I think if you're making videos to try and take over the world, then you will end up disappointed, because it is a crowded marketplace. And especially with lockdown, how many of us have started channels and then found that actually with the world restarting, it's harder to make the same level of content. And I've certainly found that, and like, I'll be the first to admit it. But I think, you know, there is still space for smaller channels. And for me, as long as I'm having fun, I'll still make videos. So yeah. Sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded answer.
No, that's cool. Jeff, so you Premiere Pro as well?
Yeah, I am. So I graphic design is like my job. So web design mainly. So I've got access to the Adobe Cloud, so I get Premiere Pro with that. So, but it was just, I wanted to learn a new skill, so that's why I moved to video editing. So because I've never done that before, and it's best one. Then I could say the next stop is now I want to learn animation. So, you know, if you wait 4 years, I might finally manage to work out how to do that. But it's I'm far from an expert. I'm far from average with Premiere Pro. I'm borderline basic at best, and it's like scraping. So I describe my videos as polishing turds. So where, like Mac was saying about
are you going to animate that for us?
That's the animation, yeah.
That's his Christmas.
Visualize it.
Don't put ideas into his head, Mac.
I've got to be very
rude,
by the way, and just cut this guy off. I think we can all agree he's speaking total nonsense, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I think Jeff's videos are fantastic quality and some of the most entertaining. Like, I really do, you know, and you know, it's definitely part of your character to be modest, whether it's on the channel or whether it appears to be in real life right now. But it's just total nonsense. What you're producing is of high quality. I think the commonality is that, like Tom's work, like other channels that I respect, you respect the viewer's time. For me, it doesn't really matter if the video is 2 minutes or it's 20 minutes. I mean, we all watch, don't we binge watch? Didn't we binge watch Squid Game? I mean, that was like and that was effectively like a 9-hour movie or something, right? Like, so it's not really whether it's 9 hours or 9 seconds. It's actually about respecting the viewer's time, whether that's through information or whether that's through your editing or whatever it is. And anyway, Jeff, you do that. So please continue.
You speak to him in the flesh, though, Mac. He's right, big-headed.
Yeah,
it's
like my character.
Yeah, insufferable.
Who would come on who would come on a chat and wear their own branded T-shirt? Who's not big-headed? Kind of. It's I couldn't get up my backside anymore. But it's whether it's like you say modesty, but I quite like accepting what you are, kind of thing. So I've quite enjoyed the whole DIY bargain basement approach for my videos. So like the graphics are like your cheap, cheerful, what you would see, say, like the bigger YouTubers who've like cashed in on that market with all like quick cut memes and like all the clips. So I've kind of gone down that approach. So it's I think though from learning from this, I've got to create probably a script, because all my videos I just kind of wing it, and the quality of the actual video is not there, which is why I enhance it with like different clips, memes, and then like photos. But it's kind of Yeah, it's a learning curve. I wanted to do, like, I'm not a very outward person. I know someone who would grow a ridiculous mustache kind of doesn't help that argument, but that's one of the reasons I want to do YouTube. I get like really embarrassed really easily, so it's kind of a way to kind of counteract from that. So it's been really helpful in that regard. And I know, like, I used to watch YouTube, so I'll get a whiskey and I think, okay, who's reviewed this? So then you'll search and review different people, and it's quite nice having a database. So you think, I know this person's really fond of this style of whiskey, but he really doesn't like this. So it's quite good to then, I used to compare and think, okay, maybe this person's going to go over the top on how good it is. Let's see what this person thinks.
Yeah.
So that was my idea, was to kind of embed myself into that archive. So I've got a personal archive I can go back to and watch. And you say about YouTube has a permanence. I definitely think that, because Instagram, you post, you scroll, it's gone.
Yeah.
Well, YouTube videos in theory is this solid, people will go back and find videos. I get comments on my first video.
Yeah.
So that's 8 months ago now. And that whole bringing people to see past stuff is what excited me about it. But
do you think that people watch YouTube, let's just say whiskey tubers, for instance, will they watch a channel because of the people in the videos, even if they don't agree with their necessarily their notes and their tastes? Do you think they would still watch a channel because they like the people presenting, or do you think they would?
I think possibly, yeah.
I like them, but
personality is a huge bit, isn't it? So, like, people will watch like the most inane drivel on TV as long as it's presented by a certain person. That's why my channel basically has no viewers or subscribers.
I watched Blankety Blank last night. I watched Blankety Blank, and about 20 minutes in, me and Tam went, "What are we doing? That man's just won a. This is the BBC for you, isn't it? That man's just won an ice cream maker, and we watched him win it. And it was only because I've forgotten the guy's name. He does the chase, doesn't he? Things like that. He's
Bradley
awesome.
Walsh.
Yeah. That's all that you get. He just looks. You sit there going, Bradley Walsh, absolutely phenomenal, man. I love it. But then he sat there thinking, I'm watching that right off. No, I'm going to carry on watching it to the end, and that's it. Yeah, it's an hour of my life I'm never going to get back.
I think it takes some time to get up to that level, right? To become, I think about within the whiskey tube world, right? Ralphie, I mean, what a legend, right? And it's taken him a huge amount of time, a huge number of videos to be somebody where people just respect what he says or are invested in what he says. Same with Roy Duff, with Vim PF, right? With Whiskey Tribe. But people are not going to, when you make your first video, nobody gives a flying fuck, right? No one at all. And by your 10th video, people may not give a flying fuck. So, actually, when I started Kanpai Planet, I thought about that a lot. I thought, well, who the hell is even going to watch this first video, right? Of me. And so what can I give the viewers that may make them come back, that may at some point mean that they start to care? If I make a video about shochu, which is Japan's indigenous spirit that not many people have really heard of, hopefully there's an audience that will watch that because they trust what I say, because they trusted what I said about Yamazaki 18 and Hibiki and some other big hitter Japanese names.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It really is, because I remember when we first started, I did this massive, like, I literally blitzed all social media. Like, New Dram Drinker was like the new big thing that everyone wants to watch, and it's completely against my personality. Like, behind the scenes, I'm thinking I'm shitting myself about doing this. It's just something I want to do, but I'm shitting myself. And it was like, I was doing like 10 weeks, 9 weeks, 8 weeks, 5 hours, 4 hours, and then I come on screen, it's like, hello everybody, I like whiskey now, please watch. And it's like how anybody hung around. And there's still some people who follow us now who, in the COs, who were there on that first chat, and it was the community was just there from the start, to be honest. It's like, okay, there's many channels and there's even more now, but they all turn out for you. They're all there to have a listen and a watch and kind of connect with you and stuff. So even though there are so many of us, they're all so invested in it that everybody who wants to do a channel is welcome, aren't they? I'm sure it's almost like the whiskey world as well, where you'll be welcomed into Jez, you'll be welcome to festivals and different things that they'll ask you to come along to, and I'm sure Tony will have the same thing. I imagine, is the whiskey world for a new distillery as accepting? Are they like, do they open their arms out to you and go, welcome to the family, or do you have to really work at that? Do you think, Tony?
Well, I'll say happily that everybody's really welcoming and excited. And to quote another YouTuber, Vin, that because Vin has this thing that he talks about called imposter syndrome, and there's a little bit of that for me. I've always had faith in what I produce, but then how it's accepted, and if there's levels of skepticism and things like this, it's that sort of things where I get a little bit of that imposter syndrome in a way, because I'm up against like there's huge distilleries out there, and if you look at the size of distilleries in England, there's only one or two smaller than us. It's it's a bit daunting in a way. However, the people that really matter, like the CEOs, like everybody on Twitter, everybody's been really excited and really welcoming and really supportive. So I think it is a welcoming environment for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We were welcome. We've been talking to everybody. We're talking to everybody we can talk to, haven't we? To go from consumer to producer, there's no formal training apart from sitting on a still, discussing it with people, and then making mistakes across copper. We were lucky to be able to do that, though. That's one thing we've always said. We were lucky to get on copper stills, and we're lucky to get on gin stills and try and make whiskey on, in small batch, and then and learn about the fermentations and get that wrong, and then striking temperatures and all those kind of things. We just graft. That's how we've learned to do that. But since doing it, whilst doing it over the last 12 months, I think the fraternity is the wrong word because it was masculized. That's the wrong thing to say. The families of small whiskey, even large ones, I think getting on the Becky Paskin, do you know what I mean, on that kind of stuff, some of those, into those, just listening to them, I think they're all part and parcel of the same. They all have this feeling that that's what I want to produce, that's how I'm going to produce it. And I think because you've got that passion in what you do, people will drink it, people will get on it. You've got to make some serious mistakes. I've forgotten the phrase, one of you's going to tell me, there's no such thing as bad whiskey. There's just, what is it? What's that one? So we don't have, apart from the funk and the one I gave you once, and you said it was, let's not go there. And I said, well, that's okay, because I wouldn't know, because my nose is, do you know what I mean? It's absolutely, whatever. So I think the inclusion, and if you've got passion, your whiskeys will get better. You've got everything else, and then people get on it. So, and everyone's in that same frame of mind, I found, in whiskey, in brewing, in whatever it is, and they're inclusive. Yeah, you can talk to these people. They're not a million miles away. If I pick up the phone and want to speak to somebody about, hey, can I come down to your distillery because I'm struggling with something like this and this and this, and I want to know how you did it, and most of them will say, yeah, come down, have a look. Because you can't copy. There's no way. I don't. If you can, it's beyond me. I'm not sure you can copy a process very well, because you've got to know the whole process, and then you'd have to unwind that. You'd have to unwind everything we did. So there's no. I don't think I've come across that. I don't think I've come across big secret of what your recipes are and how you do it. I'm not really interested in that, but it's more the questions of how have you got to where you are, because you need to do the kind of production we want to do in next year. We've got there's some serious, I think from our side, serious investment, or however we do it, however I come up with a plan to do that. But we need other people that have gone through it already to help us get on that journey. And I've already spoken to some. So it's from my point of view, it's been inclusive, and they've been welcoming to talk to you about stuff once you've got an issue.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say about copy, because it was one of the questions I was going to ask the YouTubers, to be honest. In that, I'll come to you first, Mac. How if someone's inspired by your channel to start up, how close could they get to making their channel look like yours before you got antsy about it? There's a difference between inspiration and then blatant copying, isn't there? So, because I'm sure you've got your own style. There's like Jeff as well has got his. We've got ours. You know, Tom's got his. How would you be complimented because someone's doing it, or would you feel a little bit more, oh, that's a bit too close to comfort?
That's a very good question. I guess it depends what they were, you know, what aspects of what I consider proprietary they were really hitting on, right? I mean, what is it that makes you know, whiskey shorts, new dram drinker, or Kanpai Planet. You know, it's the people presenting it, number one, right? So
yeah,
I mean, if they just wore a blue shirt all the time, I might think they were, you know, taking the piss more than
I've had mustaches and blue shirts already.
Yeah, exactly. Or a patch, or recording in the back in a cheap hotel with a shit mic. I mean, you know, that you might think, oh, whoa, hang on, somebody's like, this is more parody than inspiration here. Yeah. But yeah, you know, if I think it's very difficult to replicate, really, right? You know, they would be far better investing their time in coming up with a new style rather than trying to match the pace of information, the way it's delivered, and the editing style of another channel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, obviously, Jeff, I'd say yours has obviously got, it's a very definitive style. Your videos have, it's the color scheme, it's the way it's done. It could easily be copied. I mean, we could do a new Dram Drinker video that is your style completely. But how would you feel if somebody was to do that?
You're not Jeff.
Yeah, you're not Jeff, but it's easy to be Jeff. You just have to record it 3 times. Your equipment has to fail, and then you have to say.
You need to include a little breakdown as well, like halfway through, like filming it, a little just emotional breakdown.
I've done this. This is the 3rd time I've done this.
And then I know it's a shit video, but I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I 100% would love it. It's like you know, Stuart from Whiskey Whims.
Yeah.
Like he messaged me and said, "Oh, I hope it's all right." And he's done in one of his videos. He's there wearing like a bit of a funky shirt, like I've done in a few, and he gives the old slappy slap on the go. And I think that's brilliant because like he's someone who I watch all the time.
What's a slappy slap? Is it like this bad boy?
Yeah, harder though. Slap it harder.
Slap it like you mean it.
For some
sorry,
reason, that's become like my niche. That's all my channel boils down to is one weird bloke slapping bottles. It's everyone needs a hobby. But
every time I do it, Jeff, I'm gonna put I'm gonna include you in it and go, this bad boy.
I like the eye contact as well.
Jez, give one of your bottles a slap at the back now. Say a good.
Well, how do you do it then? Just like that. This is a good.
Just hold it and whack it. Yeah, that's it.
It's a good solid bottle. What's the cork go?
But I'm awaiting one of your bottles, Jez, because I won one in the English festival. So when that turns up, I'll send you a video.
It's been sent on Friday, I think it was.
When it turns up.
The neck bottle fiasco. That you should have it on Tuesday or Wednesday. So like the neck, whatever it was, the label fiasco. Yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And when I get it, I'll give it like the heartiest slap. Like,
you can. It's such a
towel.
Thick glass. Just really give it a punch.
You're going to review it on the channel, Jeff?
I'll put it on the list to get to. I've got 2 filmed, and they're both before I got a new phone, which is what I film on, and a new mic. So I don't know if I could bring myself to publishing them.
Right.
So I might just scrap them, film new, and then edit from there. So that'll be at the front of the line.
Oh my lord!
That's any fairer than that, can you?
But I would love anyone to copy me, and like if someone was able to do what I did, and if they did it better, I would happily like take a step back and say, yeah, this is exactly what I've enjoyed doing, and this person's enjoying it. You know, I'm happy to watch them. It's like I got into Whiskey Tube because I watch Whiskey Tube. So I would find it very complimentary. Like if I ever see another channel and someone just gets a bottle and just, you know, spanks it about, I'm like, yeah, my man, you know, She knows what she's doing. They got it.
So, I mean, Tony, your bottles are quite distinctive with your beer. That would, I suppose, did you have to look into this? I suppose this goes to Jez as well. Yeah, your styling and the logo and all that. Do you have to, is there like a database where you can go on to see if you're actually ripping anything off without realizing that you are?
You can have a look at ipo.gov, but that's not to say that you're still not ripping people off. But there is such a thing as convergent evolution, whereas somebody on the other side of the planet can actually have the same idea as you at the same time, if not at different times, but unbeknownst to each other. So I think we're getting into a world that now where it becomes increasingly difficult for anybody to come up with any brand, because it's amazing people's creativity that we can still come up with unique brands, but it becomes harder and harder. Just like coming up with a new YouTube channel or an interesting Instagram feed that doesn't involve putting high value bottles of whiskey unopened into a tree. It's apart from IPO .gov, there's and then just general Google searches. You can do your due diligence, but then all of a sudden somebody will pop up with that name and you're like, bugger. Back to the drawing board. I did come across a little hiccup recently that I haven't alerted anybody to the fact yet, but a London company who runs a bar in Birmingham has in April this year, they registered with IPO under spirit beverages, under that category, Brummy and Brummy Gin. Now, there's actually a local brewery that's been selling Brummy Gin for the last 2 years. Right. I don't know where they get it made. They don't make it themselves, but it's probably Langley's in Albury. But either way, they've been selling a product for 2 years that somebody this year has just registered as a trademark. Right. So how do you know? How does this person who's just registered it? How do they know that somebody isn't already using it?
Yeah.
We've been down that trademark. Trademark is incredibly difficult to do, isn't it? Without a very expensive solicitor. No,
it's very easy to do and very cheap to do if you just do it yourself through ipo.gov.
I've done that. So we did a couple of it. Yeah, but let's get it through. Sorry, go on.
But it's just whether it gets accepted or not. We never had anything that we've trademarked. We've never had anything turned down. It's always just sailed through. It requires somebody to put their hand up and have a problem with it in order for it to get rejected, or if you were trying to trademark Birmingham, as in any category, you just can't do it. I think Brummy on that front is kind of tenuous. You can't.
It is, yeah.
Brum. I'm sorry, but Brummy's that's just a colloquial term for anything from Birmingham. So you can't trademark that, surely, but it's been accepted. They have.
Right.
It's a bit of a weird one. I shall watch on with anticipation to see how.
We've got one currently, which I shouldn't say really, but we've got one currently because somebody trademarked White Dog, as in the new make spirit. It's a bit like you trademarking new make spirit.
You can't. No. Was that accepted?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, it's a white dog. I've got to look at this, but we're looking. Yeah, White Dog. So we have to go in at a different angle. So I don't know. Guys in London got it. Yeah, White Dog was trademarked, and whether it's just two separate words, I think it's two separate words, White Dog, but it's definitely in the spirits. Ours is one word, White Dog, and we'll go down the route with the White Dog custom aged to your taste. So we'll add the whole thing to it. Yeah. And so that's what we're doing at the moment. But my first one was it Mercia Old Fashioned? Wouldn't let me have it. Mercia Rye Old Fashioned. They just wouldn't let me do it. I was like, again, what? Why? This just makes no sense. So that was my first soiree into trademarking. But that was when we first started. So that was kind of me going, oh yeah, that's a great thing to do. Bought it, and I tried twice. Got told by a very bureaucratic. What do you call them? Bureaucrats. Yeah, sat there thinking, no. And I took it slightly personally and just went, right, well, I'm not doing another one. But we have to, don't we?
You just stick your tongue out at him as well, Jeff.
That'll teach him.
I'm taking my ball home.
Guys, I've kept you for nearly an hour and a half already now. So if you want to call it a day, we'll let you carry on with your days. I'd love to do this again, to be honest, because I've got thousands of questions that I could ask you. We just keep on going. But I'm sure you've got lives to get back to and families to get back to and things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say thank you. Just go around you again. Just tell us where people can find you so they can go straight after this video, go online and buy or follow something from you. So, Jez, tell the people where they can find you again, mate.
MerciaWhisky.co. That's .co on the internet. Facebook is Mercia Whisky Company, and Instagram is Mercia Whisky Co. Or come down and see us at the Spirit Lab. That's open on the 13th, sorry, 13th. It is a Saturday, 13th of November. So you can come down here and see us and laugh at us at our ineptness.
Grab a paintbrush and out.
Yeah.
This is where we all laugh at Jeff, where he tells us all of his handles are all different. You're right, Jeff. Where can people find you, mate?
Just search Jeff Whisky. It'd be easier. It's either it'll be Jeff Whisky or there'll be like Jeff Whisky Reviews or Jeff Whisky 24 or something. Just if you want to see Jeff Whisky, just search it and hopefully I'll appear for you. But
it has to be so like if you want to watch me.
Sorry, watch Jeff Whisky. YouTube.com/.
No, Jeff, I've just put it in Google, Jeff, right from here. Put Jeff Whisky in and it comes with all of them up for you. That's what happens.
I've made it.
You're top of the list.
When you meet in the flesh, he goes, call me Pete. Call me Pete. Tony, where can people find you, mate?
Anyone can find our website, spiritofbirmingham.co.uk. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on Twitter as individual Tony Pancakes or MC Drummer. Happy for anybody to say hi.
And they can buy vodka and beer from you.
Well, we're still waiting on labels for the vodka, but people can buy beer from our website direct.
Tony, can we buy some beer? I need to come and see and buy some beer for this place. This place is going to have local beers, so I need to go and order like a lot of bottles to come and put in the fridge or not in the fridge. You have to tell me.
I shall, in the fridge. I shall hand deliver them and have a look around then.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Do that, Debbie. Before we open, that'd be great.
Well, you can drop me an email at hello@spiritofbirmingham.co.uk and we'll sort something out.
Get the order in.
There you go. Sharing the love as we speak.
Yes.
Tom, where can people find you, mate?
Well, I don't have anything to sell, so please don't come trying to solicit my wares. But you can find me on mainly on YouTube or on Twitter. So on YouTube, I'm at Whiskey Shorts. On Twitter, I'm at Dram of War. But if you search Whiskey Shorts, you'll find me on there. I'm also on Instagram. Again, if you search for Whiskey Shorts, I'll pop up. And yeah, come and check out my videos. Let me know what you want to see. If you're at the Kendal Whisky Festival or at the Reading Whisky Affair or basically any whisky festival between now and 2025, you'll probably find me walking around. So please come and say hi and I will buy you a dram from the nearest stall. So yeah, come and say hi. But yeah, thanks for having us on today, Ant. It's been really interesting. And thanks to all the other presenters. It's been really great to hear from you.
No problem, mate. And Mac, where can people find you, buddy?
Sure. So I'm Kanpai Planet, Kanpai. You sometimes see it spelled with an M, which is just totally wrong. Planet. So youtube.com/Kanpai Planet and then at Kanpai Planet on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So and LinkedIn actually. So please come and join the fun. And a special offer. I'm trying to up Tom here. This only applies to people from overseas. If you come to Tokyo in the next 3 weeks, I'll also buy you a dram.
There you go. Get your tickets now, boys.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm always up for a challenge. So
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I'd like to go to Tokyo.
Knowing Jez, he'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And can you cut out the bit where people realised that this was a problematic dram to achieve when you edit this, please?
He's booking his tickets with his
Yeah.
feet now, like he was earlier.
Going to Tokyo, get myself a dram. And what's the most expensive dram you can have in Tokyo? Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
See, come in.
Yeah, I dread to think, to be honest.
It's funny you say that, actually. I went to a bar about 2 hours from Tokyo, and I had a dram that cost me 50,000 yen, which I think at current exchange rates is about 360 quid. And at some point soon, there'll be a video about that whole adventure. So I'm going to just leave that there.
And when are you going there again? Because that's when we can all come over to see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys.
In the next 3 weeks, you've got one. But I'm actually really looking forward to coming back to the UK, a phrase I don't normally say, to meet all of you guys in person.
Awesome.
I really can't wait.
Be lovely to do that, mate. They hook up with us and we can we'll try and sort something out for you.
We'll buy you a dram.
We'll host you.
Not 360 quid one, but we'll buy you a dram.
Yeah, we'll buy you a dram.
Yeah.
We can take you to Jezzy's bar and have one of Tony's beers there. How about that?
That'd be awesome. Yeah, do that.
We love a collaboration.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to do this again in a few months' time, and so that we've all moved on a little bit and got other things going on, and we can talk some more, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thank you, guys. We wish you all the best. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, out. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.